Okay, let's get started. In the last session, we were talking about P2P and O2C cycles. We discussed the P2P cycle, what are the different departments are involved in the core P2P process, and what applications Oracle is offering to support the P2P process of the business, and what could be the typical sales process right from receiving order to receiving the payment from customer, which departments are involved, for each department which application we can use, also how the data can be shared with other departments or application. Discussed these points along with the P2P O2C. We gone through this slide which talks about the two cycles P2P O2C. What are the common applications which are connected with a P2P and O2C? These are the common applications. You take P2P or O2C, inventory will have a communication with the P2P process and O2C process. Cash management will have a communication with P2P, O2C with respect to applications. GL always establish the communication with all the subledger applications to receive the data. And along with these points, we have to understand what does it mean by ERP. Okay, what does it mean by ERP? You have to understand. When you talk about ERP, ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Enterprise Resource Planning. Our Oracle financial applications are treated as ERP applications. What are the characteristics of ERP? We'll try to understand. Before we jump into that, what does it mean by enterprise resource plan? Enterprise is nothing but an organization. Resource. What is treated as a resource? Resource could be your money. Resource could be your material. Resource could be manpower, people, and resource could be machinery. Okay, you may call as if four M's: money, manpower, okay, material, machinery. These all we treat as a resource. The applications, what we call as ERP applications, that will help you to plan and utilize those resources more effectively. You have money that you can maintain by using the cash management with the bank accounts concept. You have material you can maintain within the inventory. You have manpower you can maintain by using HCM application. You have machinery kind of, it could be fixed assets in other ways you can maintain that. So all the resource what you have in your organization, that you can well plan, and those can be used effectively in the by using the ERP application, that is called as enterprise resource planning. Your enterprise related resource like money, manpower, material, machinery kind of information, you can plan and you can utilize up to the best by using these applications. That is the definition of ERP. And what are the characteristics of ERP? In the market these days, you can say everybody is saying their product is ERP. Okay, their product is ERP. So how to find which is real ERP and which is not? So when you talk about ERP, the first point is the seamless integration. Seamless integration. What does it mean by seamless integration? If you look at this flow diagram, we can understand inventory connected with the PO, PO connected with the AP, AP connected with the CM, AP is connected with the FA, and again AP is connected with the GL. All the applications are connected seamlessly. There is no breakage between those. That means it will support business automation. Automation. Okay, automation. So since these applications are seamlessly connected without in between no other intermediate step, directly connected, seamless. There is no breakage between these systems, applications. With the seamless integration, you can automate the entire business process. That is one of the key benefit of ERP application. Apart from that, for all these applications, you can maintain single database. Okay, you can maintain single database. You might be operating the business in one country or multiple countries. Okay, so you can have single database. You can have a single database, and all the countries data also you can store in the single database. That capacity you can see only with the ERP application. If you see small accounting packages, if you are using in the multiple countries or multiple locations, everywhere those need to get installed and you have to use it. You are not going to maintain the single pool of database where you can see your entire enterprise related data in a one single truth system. That is not possible if it is not ERP. So when you say ERP, all the whatever you call as ERPs, that should be in the position to support with a single database. Enterprise is only one database. You might be using that applications across the globe. So that should be another characteristics. Okay, single database for your entire enterprise. And there should be flexibility for third party integrations. It means, say, one of your client is using supply chain management and finance from Oracle, and they are using HCM solution. Say HCM they are using from the vendor called as Workday. Like Oracle, Workday is another company who are very famous in HCM solution. HCM. Your client opted HCM solution from Workday company, Workday vendor. Now, this information they want to send to GL application, because from all the applications we are sending the data to GL to prepare the financial reports. When I talk about Workday, say they are processing the employee salaries in the Workday. The payroll information should be available in the GL so that they can prepare the financial reports. What are the salaries we are paying that we treat as expense? That information should be available in the GL. Now there will be need of connecting this Workday application with GL application. The GL application you have to connect. So connecting this Workday application to the GL, we call as integration. Okay, integrations. Okay, integration. So the HCM Workday application we call a third-party applications. So in ERP, always you see the greater flexibility of third-party application integrations. Third-party applications. And another point here is, in case of ERP application, you can max avoid data duplication. Since everything you are maintaining in the single database, so you can avoid the duplication. Say you have a 10 companies, okay, you have a 10 companies. So the 10 companies, you have one supplier. You have one supplier, the 10 companies are procuring the material from same supplier. You don't need to create same supplier for each and every company again and again. You can create supplier one time that you can map to all the companies. All the companies will be in the position to procure the material from the same supplier. The same applicable for customer or any sort of data. So max ERP applications will allow you, okay, data duplication. And lot many other flexibilities we have when you go with the ERP applications in terms of performance and in terms of scalability. Anytime you can scale up kind of a system resource or your business requirement point of view, the solution will be more flexible. So this all put together, okay, we can just call that product as ERP product. In the market, most of the accounting packages, everybody they name prefix as ERP, okay, or suffix they are adding. But reality, these are the points we have to understand. There should be a seamless integration, business automation across the applications. So there should not be duplicate. I mean, too much of manual intervention. Say AP. In AP, when you are creating purchase invoice, you should be in the position to create the purchase invoice based on your purchase order or GRN information. If you have a PO or GRN within the purchasing application, that should be enough to create invoice in the payables application. Again, your payables team should not start entering the purchase invoice data in the payables application. That means it's a manual intervention. Okay, so that always you see in the EBS or ERP applications as not required. Okay, so these are the key points to understand what does it mean by ERP. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. The resource what we are using as a money, manpower, material, machinery, etc., etc. This all you can plan and you can utilize. Further, these applications will support. And when you say ERP applications, those will have a seamless integrations and which supports your business process automations and with more controls. Again, it is not like just automation takes place within your system across this application. However, communication takes place within your company across the departments. Such kind of environment, the virtual environment you can create in the system in terms of data process or business process or data process or whatever you call it. So with a more control, very granular level of controls you can establish and you can come up with your complaints. Okay, could be SOX complaints or etc. etc. And you can adapt the best accounting standards and everything will be stored in the one single truth of the system since single database and so that you can maintain the integrity of the company, like you are not going to diversified into different systems, different databases. It's going to be one. So the integrity you can maintain and the third party integrations pretty much easy to connect and you can avoid the data duplications. And again, these ERP applications will give the best capability of building applications on your own. I said these are the applications we are going to use. One more application you want that is not available from Oracle. In EBS environment, it is pretty much easy. You can build a new application and you can start using within that environment. You don't need to go out and you don't need to create as a third party application within the EBS and within the ERP environment. More or less, you'll have a greater flexibility to create your own applications and you can start using. So these are the points you have to understand when you talk about the meaning of ERP. Okay. So the meaning of ERP. Now we'll proceed with the system where we stopped. So when you talk about the system, we are ready with the calendar, which we call as accounting calendar. We are ready with the currency. Of course, we didn't do any great job related to currency, or at least already delivered the currency information. Just we discussed about it. And we are ready with our own chart of accounts, COA chart of accounts. Also, we discussed along with these three C's, we need one more component called as accounting method, or you can call as a accounting convention. You can call as convention or accounting method. Anything is fine. Accounting method, or you can take as a convention. By using these four C's, we are going to create primary ledger. Let's see how to create the primary ledger in the system first. So we know an enterprise structure. Okay, within the enterprise structure, primary ledger is one of the component, one of the enterprise unit. Within the primary ledger, we have four components: calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method. Let's see how to create the primary ledger. Just go to our instance.
Yes, okay. And we have to see the enterprise structure also in on instance, no? Today.
We'll go through. Okay, because our components
Okay.
are ready, we'll create and definitely we'll touch everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Reality, there is nothing to do with enterprise. That is the reason I didn't take on priority. But anyway, we'll go through. Yeah, we'll see that.
you.
Yeah, fine. Just click on username. Click on the task called as setup and maintenance. Okay. Financials selected as a offering, right? The offering name is financials. Now we can find the task called as manage primary ledgers. The task name is manage primary ledger. 99% tasks starts with manage as a prefix. So we no need to talk every time that manage for every task. So simply you can say primary ledgers. Search for primary ledgers. Task name is manage primary ledgers. Here is the task. Click on manage primary ledgers task. Click on manage primary ledgers task. You could see many ledgers are available in this instance. Reason, this instance we are using for training purpose. If it is fresh instance, when you are working for your client, if you navigate to this page, this is how you can see this page. No ledgers you see in this page. Oracle is not providing any sample ledgers also. So we have to create the ledgers how many we require. Depending on for how many countries we are doing implementation, we have to create it. Right. Now click on plus icon. Provide the ledger name. We are using the name called as ADP company. So give the name as ADP. So when you create the ledger, we always provide company name as a prefix, and the ledger we are going to use for which country, that you can input US. What we are creating, that is a primary ledger. This is how we create primary ledger for reality. In some implementations, instead of taking naming convention like this, we'll go with another way. What we do is, if it is for US, okay, you create the ledger as US primary ledger. That's all. Client is client. For the same client only you create. In some implementations will create like that. In few implementations, client may prefer to have a name as USD primary ledger. That's it. Okay. So most of the projects you just go with this kind of naming convention. ADP. Client can choose. Client, you don't need to go and ask with what name you need. Typically, this is how you can create client name, country, and primary ledger. And we created chart of account structure and chart of account structure instance. Now we are going to select our chart of accounts here. Our chart of accounts name we created as a ADP. Look for ADP chart of account structure or instance. If you look at ADP accounting flex, you can understand we created ADP accounting flex as a account chart of account structure or instance. The structure we created as ADP accounting flex field. Only instance we created as ADP accounting flex. You cannot select chart of account structure to create the primary ledger. The one and only option is chart of account structure instance. Here we are able to see all the instances of these are the different instances, chart of account structure instances, which are created in this instance just for practice. Select R chart of account structure instance. It is not structure, this is structure instance. Select the calendar, whatever we created. We created calendar as a ADP, ACC, CAL, right? So just look for ADP accounting calendar. Select. And currency. So what are the currency we select here? That currency you can call as ledger currency. Typically, we call it as functional currency. We are creating the primary ledger for US. US means USD is the currency that we call as functional currency, or you can call as ledger currency. When you create the primary ledger, the currency what we select that you call as ledger currency also. Select currency as USD. Since the product is owned by US company, they kept USD on the top of all the currencies. Okay, select USD. Accounting method we discussed, but not very detailed. When we deal with the topic, you will understand more detail level. Very high level we discussed. Accounting method consists of accounting rules which are required when you record the transactions in subledger applications. Payables, receivables applications when you create the transactions. So accounting method is mandatory. If you look at this definition of primary ledger, the accounting method field is addressed as not mandatory. There is no star mark. There is no star mark for accounting method. It means it is not mandatory. Yes, it is not mandatory if you are going to use this primary ledger only in the GL. If you want to use the primary ledger within the subledger applications, subledger applications means other than GL, all applications we call as subledger applications. If you want to use the primary ledger in the subledger applications, yes, you should treat as accounting method is mandatory. So Oracle is providing the accounting method that we have to choose. And when we are working on payables application, we will go through how the accounting method is available in the system, what is the structure of accounting method, and what are the various components we have in the accounting method. And if you want to customize, if you want to modify Oracle provided accounting method, how to do it. So we are going to work on these aspects. For now, you select the accounting method which Oracle is delivering. Select accounting method as standard accrual. Okay, select standard accrual accounting method which we use. So how to create the primary ledger means you can say by selecting calendar, currency, chart of accounts and accounting method, we can create primary ledger. That is the point. How to create? By selecting the four components, we can create the primary ledger. Now click on save and close. Click on save and close. Now,
You did save and close. And again, if I want to go and make some change, can we make the primary ledger editable?
no, you cannot do that. For that, we have some other point. It will come later. Yeah, for now you cannot do. Whatever you created, you can see, you cannot do any changes. Go to manage primary ledgers, search for ADP. You cannot touch. But there is, there is an option to do it. It will come in the next step. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You created, you see the status in process. Our primary ledger status is in process. Okay, done. After creating primary ledger, what is the next step? Okay, the next step is we have to set ledger options. Let me write here again. First, we'll create primary ledger. After creating primary ledger, we have to set ledger options for our primary ledger. So primarily what we set in ledger options, we discussed during the accounts creation, returned earnings account. Retained earnings account. Every company objective is retained earnings. So for every ledger as a mandatory, we have to set the retained earnings account. For every ledger as a mandatory, we have to set the retained earnings account. We'll go and see how to set retained earnings account for our ledger. Fine. Now, here is the task. Okay, just make a note of the task name. Task name is specify ledger options. The task name is specify ledger options. Click on specify ledger options. When you click on specify ledger options, system will ask, we want to set ledger options for which ledger? It will ask us to select. Here is a scope. Yes, you want to set ledger options for which ledger? It will ask and we have to select our ledger name so that we'll be able to set ledger options for our ledger. Click on specify ledger options and select our ledger name. For which ledger we want to set the ledger options, select that ledger. Click on drop down, pick the value called, select and add. Now click on apply and go to task. Click on apply and go to task tab. Now we could see all the primary ledgers. You find our primary ledger. ADP. You search, there is no button. Use key from the keyboard, enter. Now select your primary ledger record and click on save and close so that we will be navigated to ledger options page for our ledger. Click on save and close. Now we are in the ADP US primary ledger options. So we created primary ledger. In the same page, you cannot change the name, but here you can change. In ledger options, you have a provision to change the ledger name. Yes, you can change the ledger name. It's an editable field anytime. And we created primary ledger by selecting calendar, currency, chart of accounts, and accounting method. Out of the 4 components, you cannot change for 3 components. Currency, you cannot change, it's fixed. You create primary ledger with any currency, that is a fixed. Accounting, a chart of accounts, you cannot change. The chart of accounts you selected, ADP accounting flex. You can see the name as chart of accounts, but always you have to understand that is chart of account structure instance. We cannot change, field is freezed. And we cannot change accounting calendar, whatever we selected for our primary ledger. One and only component you can change at any point of time is accounting method. Accounting method you select the standard, the field is editable. At any point of time, you can change because at any point of time, you may have a different accounting requirements. There should be flexibility to change. That's what Oracle is allowing. Once you create the primary ledger, you cannot change calendar, currency, chart of accounts, but anytime you can change the accounting method. We will change, we will see that also. We'll customize the Oracle provided standard accrual so that we can understand. When we are dealing with the payables, we come across. So these are the points we have to understand when we talk about ledger options. Why we are in the ledger options? To provide returned earnings account. To provide returned earnings account. Here is the returned earnings account, which is mandatory. Without setting returned earnings account for our ledger, we cannot use our ledger. Okay, we cannot use our ledger. Please don't unmute. Okay, please don't unmute. I'll stop after discussing certain information. If you have any questions, yes, we'll discuss. Yeah. In between, don't unmute, please. That's a big request. So retained earnings account is mandatory account for every ledger. Without setting up retained earnings account, you cannot use that ledger. Now, click on the search icon. Click on search icon. Now you can see all your segments which you defined as per your chart of accounts. Now, select your company. Here, which value is important for us? Returned earnings only. See, go to accounts, select returned earnings account. Remaining values could be any company, any department, you can select, there is no issue. Okay, going forward, system will use only returned earnings account for every company. Don't think here we are selecting only one company. Since we have an option to select one, we are selecting, don't think this returned earnings account only for this company. The returned earnings account system will use for all the companies, whatever you have as per your chart of accounts. But selection point of view, one only you select. Reality, the selection is not required. Since we have other segments along with account, we are selecting. So in fact, Oracle give this field with only account, that is also fine. That they are giving the entire chart of account segments. That is the reason we are selecting. You can select any company, any department, any other segment values, but make sure you are selecting right account. That is returned earnings account. Here, any value you can choose, nothing wrong. Okay, you can choose. You can set everything default. So primarily, we need returned earnings account to be specified at ledger level through ledger options. Now, I selected company code, department code, account, and all the segment codes. If I click on OK, whether system is going to create the code combination with all the codes, that totally depends on one setup. Okay, if you go to our chart of account structure instance, we can see that. Okay, we have a option in the chart of account structure instance level. By using the chart of account structure instance, can we create new code combinations or not? We can set. Go to chart of account structure instances, manage chart of account structures. It's a known navigation task. That is the reason I'm not talking much. And go to manage structure instances. Find your chart of account structure instance, that is ADP. Click on edit. Here is the control. Okay, dynamic combination creation allowed. If the checkbox is enabled, if you say okay, this combination will be allowed because this is going to be new code combination. We are creating this code combination for the first time. This is treated as new code combination. If you want system to allow to create the new code combinations, the chart of account structure instance level, dynamic combination creation allowed checkbox should be enabled. If it is disabled, if you disable it, if I say okay, it won't accept this code combination. So this is a very, very important point we have to understand. So if chart of account structure instance level, dynamic combination creation allowed. If the checkbox is enabled, then only we can create new code combinations. So this code combination already created in the system, even the chart of account structure instance level, the checkbox is not enabled, no issues. You can create because there is existing code combination. Already it is there in the system. But all the time you have to create the new code combinations. Later though, that will become existing. Okay, every code combination will become new for the first time. So we have to make sure the checkbox is enabled. Do we need to enable the checkbox at chart of account structure instance? No. Whenever you create chart of account structure instance, automatically system will enable the checkbox. That's how it works. Now, since this checkbox is enabled for our chart of account structure instance, you will be able to create new code combination. Just say OK. When you click on OK, what system will do is it will go and check at this instance level, allow dynamic combination is allowed checkbox is enabled or not, it will check. If it is enabled, it will create the code combination like this. It created this, we call as new code combination. For the first time we are creating, we call as new code combination. Along with this, select journal language. Ideally we use American English. So depending on few countries, multi-language support also Oracle is providing. So ideally you select English.
In the down, it is there.
Okay.
Still down. Here.
Should come, I think we searched in the language, we should search in the description for American English. Fine. So you have to specify the language. Then you can click on save and close. Now we are ready with our ledger with ledger options. Okay, we are ready with our ledger with the ledger options. Now, still, if you go and check our ledger status, okay, say primary ledger. You don't need to provide the full name for the task. You can just type partial name, it can fetch. You go to manage primary ledgers and just review the status. What is the status of our primary ledger? Still the status is in process. Now, the status should turn into confirmed. Means we have to complete our primary ledger definition with the status as a confirmed. You can say complete primary ledger. Okay, complete primary ledger. Okay, when you talk about complete primary ledger, anything we discussed related completion of primary ledger in the past? We didn't discuss, right? No, we didn't discuss. We didn't discuss.
Not discussed earlier.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it. Fine. Now let's see that details. So typically, what are the setups you do? The setups will get stored. It could be setup or transactions. Okay, it could be setup, calendar creation, chart of accounts creation, primary ledger creation. We call as setups. Once we start creating the transaction, those transactions and these setups will get stored in the Oracle database. Backend, we have Oracle database. All the setup and transactional data will get stored in the Oracle database. In Oracle database, where the data will get stored? In Oracle database, we have a tables. Within the tables, the data will get stored. Within the tables, the data will get stored. The Oracle database, ideally we call as transactional database. Okay. What are the transactions to record? Those will get stored as this. Now, I'll create few transactions. Say I created 100 transactions. The data will get stored in the Oracle database. In Oracle Fusion, there is one tool, reporting tool called as FRS. Financial, okay, reporting studio. There is another name also which you can use, HFR. Hyperion Financial Report. Both are same. So within the Fusion applications, we have this tool which Oracle is providing. You can generate the reports by using this tool. But the tool is not flexible with Oracle database. If you want to generate the reports by using this Hyperion Financial Reporting tool, the data should be available in S-based database. Why this tool is not flexible to generate the reports? The reason is in Oracle database, data will get stored in the tables. This tool doesn't like tables. What this tool is required? The tool is required data to be presented in the cubes, multi-dimensional cubes. So if data is available in the multi-dimensional cubes, this tool we can use to produce the reports. For that reason, what Oracle did is, since Oracle is introducing this tool in the Fusion applications, this tool from the Hyperion product, it's a very powerful tool, easy to make the reports. Just drag and drop and generate the report on the fly. That's how it works. It's a very powerful tool. So if you want to use this tool, if you have a data in Oracle database, it doesn't work. For that reason, what Oracle did is, they are using S-based database also in the Fusion, and the Oracle database they connected to S-based database. Whenever you create the primary ledger, that will get stored in the Oracle database. The same primary ledger will be copied to your S-base. Once your primary ledger copied to S-base database, if you create 100 transactions in Oracle database, the 100 transactions also, data also will be copied, but not as a transactions as it is. 100 transactions, balances will be copied. The transactions, here summary balances, it will sum and it will maintain so that it will facilitate very faster reporting. So that's how it is. Now, what are the primary ledger we created? It got stored in the Oracle database. Now that primary ledger need to be interfaced, copied to S-based database. For that, you have to perform the task called as complete primary ledger. When you say complete primary ledger, system will validate. System will validate within our primary ledger, any special characters are available or not. Maybe use some dollar symbol or slash, etc., etc. It will look into that information. If anything wrong with your primary ledger, it will throw the error message. If everything is fine with your primary ledger will be copied from Oracle database to S-based database. Then your primary ledger status you can see as a confirmed, which is equal to completed. So this is a story we have to understand, but we no need to do anything. Just you have to understand. You should aware of it. No action we should take. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to complete primary ledger beyond the scene. What happening we are trying to understand. Okay. We don't have any task to do. It's completely automated. Oracle built inbuilt integration between Oracle and S-base. Okay. So for this mapping and all, Oracle used HFM application, Hyperion Financial Management. By using that HFM application, the mappings and all, everything Oracle completed. We don't need to worry about anything. Only what we have to understand, whenever we complete our primary ledger, system will revalidate our entire primary ledger. If any special characters in our primary ledger, it will stop. If everything is fine, it will copy our primary ledger from Oracle database to S-based database. By using that primary ledger, if you create any transactions, those transactions will be reported to S-base automatically. You no need to run any programs. The moment you complete the transaction within our Oracle database by using the same primary ledger, the same data will go and sit in SBS database for reports preparation. Again, the transaction data will get stored in the multi-dimensional balance cubes. So this is a small story we have to understand what system is going to do, but we don't need to do anything. Just we should have it. Okay, any questions here, please?
So we are assigning what is the retained earnings account to primary ledger. Generally, do we create only one only one retained earnings or multiple
One
retained
only.
earnings?
You may have 100 companies. For company one, what is the returned earnings? Company two, what is the returned earnings? That will be used across all the companies.
So that means in the chart of accounts, only one retained account be available.
Enough. One is enough.
Can't we create multiple retained earnings at the enterprise organization level? I want to see what are all the retained.
One second. You may create where you can give only one. There is no business need when system is able to, okay, when system is able to segregate your returned earnings, your company wise, what else you are looking for? See,
Yeah, that's fine. I understand. That is good. So clients
not
doesn't.
possible. Answer is not possible. Okay. You have seen in the ledger options, right? Only one we can.
Yes.
That only
Yeah.
system will use in the calculation. What system will do is when you are closing your books end of the year, automatically it will identify based on the account type what is the total revenue, what is the total expense, what is the variance. The variance it will update with the returned earnings account with the respective companies. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, not possible. There is no need also. First, if there is a need, it should be possible. Accordingly, Oracle should design the system. Since there is no need, there is no option. That's it. Any other questions?
Okay.
Yeah. Questions, please.
Yeah, one question like mine, Garu. Yeah, whatever you have created calendar, COA, and accounting method earlier classes.
We didn't create
That
accounting method. Okay. Calendar, COA we created.
but whatever we have created, it will be there in the system because in the development instance, whenever we are opening again, it is not available. It will be available once if you create
I
it.
didn't
That will be
understand.
there.
Like you are talking which content.
No, for suppose initially when you got the own user, you have created all these parameters under ADP company. Today,
Correct.
when you are starting, this all the things will be there in the system. For us, I think it is not getting available away. Again, we are creating every
Yeah,
time.
I also did the same.
Okay,
Because we have to run the class, right? We should be
correct.
able to.
Okay, I thought it will be there.
No,
Okay,
no, no, no.
understood.
I
You have
created.
created before
Yes.
class.
Yeah, yeah,
Understood. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks.
I think the instance is persistence. Last week, I also created Wednesday all the things, and they are still
Correct,
available.
correct. It's been 1 week.
Yeah.
We are happy with this instance.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is how the instances are expected. Ideally, like most of the instances we experience with those would be available for 1 week, 2 weeks, sometimes luckily 3 weeks also. But sometimes we don't know like what is the reason. Always they refresh within a week, 2 times also they change. Yep. Hope this will support. Fine. So my suggestion is whenever it is up and running, quickly you try to complete your practice. Yep. That's what
Question is,
do as
for
a
example,
yeah, please.
so when primary ledger we created, we followed the steps and made the status by following all the steps complete. And I felt that I selected calendar wrong, I selected currency wrong. Can I go into the primary ledger, manage the primary ledgers, and go and delete? Then everything will be done.
You
Everything
cannot
will be.
you cannot delete primary ledger and you cannot do any amendments within the primary ledger related to calendar, currency, chart of accounts. The best option. You are learning that may happen. Reality generally it won't happen. So you can go and create different primary ledger. If you want to use the same name, go to existing primary ledger, provide some different name so that you can retain the name whatever you want.
Okay, primary ledger cannot be deleted.
You cannot delete, yes.
Even with a hard method of going to the database, delete.
You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Oracle can do it for you. Okay. Oracle can do it for you.
Okay, okay.
You cannot. Yeah.
And
morning.
one more question.
Yeah.
In primary ledger, in the first level, when we are creating, there is no option to change that primary ledger. But in the specific ledger, there is an option to change. Once if I change in specific ledger, will it affect back
Yeah,
to
it will
the?
synchronize everywhere. It will
Okay.
synchronize everywhere. Yes.
Understood. Thanks.
Yeah.
Lakshman, can you please show the navigation to ledger options once more, please?
Okay. One more time. Okay. Fine. Okay. One point. I'm not thinking that point, but my suggestion is if you are practicing simultaneously during the class itself, it will create a lot of confusion. You cannot catch the points. Okay. And you cannot think through to catch few points, and you may not raise the questions since you are not getting the opportunity to think and understand. My suggestion is attend when you are attending the class, attend class only. After class, you can practice because you have a tight schedules and all. So you are trying to complete means it doesn't make sense. You may complete, but doesn't make great sense of learning. Yep, fine. We'll see this.
So I did this last week, and I was looking for options and so on. So I got questions.
Correct, correct. Yeah, see here. Search with the ledger options. You can find task called as specify ledger options. Or else. Specify ledger options. Click on specify ledger options and select your ledger. ADP, enter keyboard key. Save and close. Now we are in ADP US primary ledger options. We provided return earnings account, language as American English. Okay. Cancel to close the page. Now we are talking about completing primary ledger. To complete the primary ledger, we have a task. Okay, we have a separate task. The task we have to submit. The task we have to submit. We'll see how to do that. Here, search for the task called as review and submit accounting configuration. If you are not able to fetch, refresh this page. Search for review and submit accounting configuration. Here is the task. And make a note. The task name is review and submit accounting configuration. We have to submit this task so that system will copy our primary ledger from Oracle database to Essbase database. And in Essbase database, based on our primary ledger, it will create the cubes. Currency one cube. For each segment one cube as per our chart of accounts. For our ledger one cube. For chart of account, your calendar related each period one cube. Okay, or else for period it will create one cube. This is how it will create the cubes that we can see as a process. The task name is review and submit accounting configuration. So make sure your primary ledger is in the selected scope. If you see here primary ledger different from yours, always you can click on that primary ledger and you can switch to your primary ledger. You can select your primary ledger. Say this primary ledger is not yours. Okay. When you are practicing here, you may see different primary ledger. How to choose your primary ledger here? Click on this primary ledger name. The pop-up will come and select value called as select and add. Click on apply and go to task. Then ADP, search for your primary ledger and select, click on save and close. This is how we can navigate to the page. I'm canceling. So here is the task. Okay, review and submit accounting configuration is the task. Make sure your ledger is in the selected scope. If you don't see anything here, no issues. Click on this task. It will ask you to select your ledger. Then you can proceed. Now click on it. So we are in the review and submit accounting configuration page. Click on submit. We are submitting our primary ledger to complete. The create accounting configuration process has been submitted with this ID. You don't need to copy the ID, just make a note. It is ending with 24. Now say OK. Where it is running the process. Okay, it is copying from Oracle database to Essbase database, where we can see that proof. So from navigator, go to tools. Under tools, there is one task called as scheduled processes. There is one task called as scheduled processes. Click on scheduled processes. Fine. You just see here, system is running the relevant jobs. Click on refresh. Here is the program. Complete accounting configuration. It triggered. The same program is called other two programs also. Complete accounting configuration. Load chart of account values. This program is loading our all chart of account values from our Oracle database to Essbase database. Also, it is creating balance cubes in Essbase. Okay. Period is one cube, currency is one cube, each segment is one cube, your ledger name is one cube. That's how everything system will create in the Essbase. So these are the three programs you always notice the task will trigger. Complete accounting configuration, first it will trigger. Then it will call two more child jobs. These we call as jobs or program or request. Anything you can use, but the standard naming is job. Three jobs triggered. Complete accounting configuration. Complete accounting configuration. Load chart of accounts values. And complete accounting configuration. Create balance cubes. These three programs are triggered, and make sure these three will complete with the status called succeeded. Whenever you see the status as succeeded for these three programs, you can ensure your primary ledger is copied from Oracle database to Essbase database. Then the status also will turn into confirmed. Your primary ledger status will turn into confirmed. Just click on refresh to see the status. So the status is running. It means it is creating balance cubes. Already it loaded chart of account values into Essbase. The status is succeeded. Since this is a master job, status is passed. Reason why it is passed, the cubes still it is creating. Okay, these two are child jobs. So one child job already it completed its task called as loading the chart of accounts from Oracle database to Essbase database. and balance cubes. Yes, the task is running. That is the reason this master task or master job status is passed. Once cubes are created, the remaining two jobs also will appear as a succeeded. Whenever you see the status as succeeded, you can go back to your ledger and review the status. You can expect to see as a confirmed. That's how it works. Okay, it will take some time. Meantime, we'll discuss few other points instead of waiting at this screen. We'll go ahead and we'll discuss few points. By the time it will complete, then we'll review the status of our primer ledger. Okay, anyway, we'll come back and we'll check the status of this job and we'll check the status of our primer ledger. Okay, this is a story of primer ledger, which we have to understand. Now, once we are ready with our primer ledger, we need to create legal entity. Okay, we need to create legal entity. So we already discussed how many legal entities we have to create. It always depends on the number of registrations the client has. If they have only one registration, one legal entity, 10 registration, 10 legal entities. Now, the task is create legal entity. When you create the legal entity, we need address. Legal entity address. Legal entity address is nothing but the registration address. When you register the company, you have to provide the physical address in which location you are registering in your company, you are establishing your company. That address we have to provide. Okay. So that address we have to create in the system first. If you want to create the legal entity, first we have to create the address. The address we call as legal address. In legal address is nothing but registration address. So to create the legal entity, first you have to create legal address. Create legal address. When you create the legal address, you have to select, take example of US. If you take US as an example for this address creation, you have to provide the postal code. Okay, again the postal code is belongs to which city you have to provide. The cities belongs to which county you have to specify. The county is part of which state you have to provide. So all everything will fall within the country US. So there is a structure within the US. If you look at the postal address, there will be state. Within the state, you will have a county. Within the county, you will have a cities. Within the city, you will have a postal code. So we need that information. You don't need to go and write that information in the system. All the data Oracle is providing. The complete address information for most of the countries Oracle is providing as a geography information. We call as geography data. So in every instance, the geography data would be available by default. Only what we have to do is we have to activate it. We have to activate it. So that you can call as load geography data. You can say load or import. Okay. Just say import anything else. Okay. Import geographies data. Okay, load or import anything you can say. We have to import. From where we are going to import, from where we are going to load, everything is there in our instance only. Just we are activating. Reality, we are going to activate the data. Once the data is activated, our job will become very easy. If I'm going to create legal address, quickly I can create. I no need to enter the city name, state name, county name, or postal code. Everything readily would be available in the instance. I can select and I can keep going. If data is not available, everything you have to write it. Okay, so that's how it is. We need to activate the geography data. Once data is available, you can create legal address. Not only legal address, you may create your supplier address, you may create your customer address, you may create your office address other than legal address. The legal address mostly it could be headquarters or corporate office address. So when we are working on the system, when you are in the project, client will give their incorporation certificate. They'll be sharing with us. So many clients they'll share that their certificate with us when you are working as a consultant. Few clients they'll just write and send those details, whatever the data we require. They'll treat that as very much confidential. They don't share. Few clients they'll send that company incorporation certificate. Okay, with that means registration information. By seeing that document, we have to create the legal entity in the system. So if you want to create the legal entity, first make sure you already activated geography data, then address is ready. With that address, you can create legal entity. Okay, with that address, you can create legal entity. Okay, so now we are going to perform these 3 tasks. So before we proceed, we'll go back and check what is the status of our lecture. Refresh. You could see status is succeeded. Means the cubes are created in a space. We cannot go and see those cubes because we will not have any access to those cubes because we are working on finance. Yes, we'll work on finance. The data will go and sit in the cubes. But when you generate the reports, when you create the FRS reports, we can see. That time we will see. Now we cannot go and see that. Okay, we'll be working on FRS, Financial Reporting Studio, or HFR, Hyperion Financial Reporting. Both are same. When you work on that tool to prepare the reports, okay, when you work on these tools, and you both are one only, okay, 2 different naming conventions. So we will see like what cubes are available in the space, how to prepare the reports by using FRS tool, that we can understand. We'll have a separate sessions. Done. Now, since here it is updated as succeeded, we can go and check our primary ledger status. Setup and maintenance. And search for primary ledgers. So manage primary ledgers. And here find ADP, enter. See the status, confirmed, and you can notice clearly mentioned balance cube is created for our chart of accounts. It shows our chart of accounts reality for entire primary ledger. So our chart of account is copied to Sbase and it created a balance cube for our chart of accounts. Okay, based on this chart of accounts data only, you can see the balances, summarized balances. It creates one cube for currency, it creates one cube for calendar period, it creates one cube for primary ledger also, it created. If you look at this record, okay, if you look at this record, we have name what we given at the time of primary ledger creation. Description we didn't provide, yes, it's a blank. Chart of accounts we given, the same we can see. Calendar also we selected during the primary ledger creation, the same we can see. Currency we selected, yes, we are able to see. Balance cubes, system created, system copied our primary ledger from Oracle database to Sbase database, created. And here another field, average balance cubes. This is different story. If any banks are using, they will have a separate calendar as just transaction calendar, the average balances, daily balances, average balances purpose it will be used. And another column you can see as a status. Where is our accounting method? We given accounting method during the primary ledger creation. Okay. So that is the hidden column in this record. You can see hidden columns also for any record. Go to view, go to columns. So here accounting method is the hidden, and again ledger ID. For every ledger, the moment you create the ledger, for every ledger, system creates one ID, unique ID, which is permanent. Ledger name you may change, but ID will remain as it is, the backend. Whatever the ID got stored for this ledger, if you want to see, select, it will display. Instead of selecting these two one by one, click on show all. Whatever we are able to see by default, that's okay. Rest it will add. For our ADP US primary ledger, the ledger ID is this. Mostly the IDs and all technical people will use most of the time. Sometimes when we are loading the data, we use. When we work on GL application, we'll come across with this ledger ID. We will understand. For now, just make a note. Okay. The hidden columns are ledger ID and accounting method. Here is the ledger ID, which you can see. Here is the accounting method, which you can see. Okay. This is a record of our primary ledger. So we are able to see our primary ledger status as a confirmed. Our primary ledger status is confirmed. Done. Now, the next task is how to activate geography data. We'll see. We no need to do anything, just one click, rest everything system will take care. Fine. Now, what you can do is go to task pan, click on search. So this page we call as global search. Across this instance, any application related task you can find from this page, global search. If any task is available in this instance, yes, you can find from this page. You don't need to select offering, you don't need to do anything, directly you can select. But what is the difference between this global search and this page, this search? Here, within the scope of this financials only, you can find any task. If you select procurement, only you can search and find anything within the scope of procurement. If you go to global search, anything you can find. But that is not a great news if you are able to find anything. Even you find anything, everything you cannot complete from this page. Everything you can complete from this page only. Say, for example, you want to set the ledger options. You go to financials, you want to set ledger options. There is a scope. I have a option to choose my ledger. If I want to change, you can click on ledger name and you can change. Choose other ledger. Yes, so pretty much okay what we need. This is not possible from the global search. In the global search, you never find the scope field attribute. That means you can go to search and you can see. I'll try to go to ledger options of ADP. We'll see whether it is possible or not. Ledger options. Here is the task, specify ledger options. But if I click on this, there is no scope selection. It is not asking me to choose the ledger. It will take us to some random. See, it's taking us to 05 ledger US. We don't know what is this all about. Okay, so this is how it is. So every task you will be able to perform within this page, but all the tasks you cannot complete from global search. Okay, this is the point we have to understand as a difference between the global search and the scope offering specific search. Now, why we are here? We want to activate geography data, or we want to load, we want to import the geography data so that we can use it for address creation. So search for manage geographies. Here we go. Manage geographies. Click on this task. you are going to implement for which country client. Accordingly, you can find the relevant record. Say we are implementing for US client. Country code is US. Search. So what we have to do in the fresh instance that we are trying to understand. In the fresh instance, before you go and create address for your legal entity or anything, before you go and create the address, first you have to come to manage geographies. For which country you want to create address? US. Find US record. Now go to actions. Hope you are taking the notes. Very, very important. If you are attending, if you are understanding, not a great news. If you have to take a note and read multiple times, then the content will become yours. Then you can speak out. There will be use. If you are attending, if you are not practicing, or even you may practice if you are not making a note of each and everything, if you are not reading. And again, other opportunity you need like speaking also. That's a different story. So at least, okay, capture everything, read and get ready with the content so that you can sell it. Go to actions, and here is one action called as import geographies. You have to click on import geographies, just one click. If you click on import geographies, it will take couple of minutes time. Then it will populate the data for entire United States. After clicking on this, in the fresh instance only you can do this. This is already we started using this instance. This instance already data is activated. How it got activated with one click? The one click already performed in this instance. So if you are dealing with a client instance, navigate to this page, find that country and go to actions. Make sure the country specific record is presented here. Now go to actions, just click on import geography data. Now it's appearing as a disabled, grayed out, since it is already submitted in this instance. You have to just one click on it, the job will be triggered, and it will take some time, a few minutes. After a few minutes, if you come to this page, here you can see the structure, how it is defined. Everything system will load, you are not going to define. How structure is defined, you can see. Click on structure defined. So this is a style for US: state, county, city, postal code. So you don't need to set up anything. The program itself it will take. Only you have to go and click on import geography data. This is how it will load structure. As per structure, it will load complete data also. If you want to see the data, click on hierarchy define. You can see within the US, all the states, if you expand any one of the state, you can see within the state, all the counties. If you want to see any one of the city within the county, you can see the available cities within the county. In county, in this city, what are the postal codes are applicable, you can expand and see. So how this data Oracle sourcing from the Vertex? Okay. So Vertex always offers some tax solutions. It's a tax engine. Okay, from there Oracle is buying this data. Okay, so that is name of data provider, from who is providing this data to Oracle, because there could be some data amendments sometimes. So those all like the Vertex company will take care, and they will provide that very much fine-tuned, amended, updated, say latest data to Oracle. That's how it works. So just we have to understand this, you no need to do anything. And another point, what we have to make sure, go to validation defined section, click on the tick mark. In the fresh instance, mostly you will see no address format, no style format. These two you don't find in the most of the fresh instances. What you have to do is, when only you can see address style as a no style format. You click on plus, it will be added. Again, you click on plus, it will be added. Once it is added, what you can do is select no address style format and make sure all the checkboxes are enabled. These are the recommended way of doing this. When you are creating address, enable list of values. If the checkboxes are enabled, the state, country, county, and all you can see in the drop down. The same we use for taxation also. And since user is not entering, validation is not required, ideally, just this is not required, no issues. You make sure all checkboxes are enabled. For no address, no style format, tax address format also make sure all checkboxes are enabled. For address type, postal address format also, all are enabled. That is very, very important. You have to look at. Okay. Ideally, it will enable. Ideally, it will enable just some instances, it will display only one. Then click on plus plus, this two will be added and verify all the checkboxes are enabled for the different style formats or not. That's what we have to review and take action if required. Ideally, no action is required. So any country, say India, search and go to actions, click on import geography data. Already somebody submitted in this environment for India also. You go to hierarchy defined, you can see within India what are the different states we have, all the states. Within the states, okay, what are the kind of districts we have. Of course, as per this style format, they're given as a county, but we have to treat as a, these are the states. Okay, so these are the city, these are the kind of districts, right? So you can just go to specific district and you can expand. So within that, these are the kind of towns or cities or kind of other levels. Yep. So that's how it is. So this is all, like we no need to maintain any data. Everything Oracle is providing. So we can just make use of it. That's how it is. That. Okay. So only what we have to do in every fresh instance, we have to come to country, go to actions, click on it, check whether validations are defined or not. All the checkboxes are enabled or not. So you see here for India, these are not enabled. You can just enable it. Not enabled, just enable it. No style format also, enable it. So save and close. That's it. And say you are implementing for US client, you are implementing for US client, and US client has a transactions with other five countries. They have a suppliers and customers, other five countries. Now we have to enable this for all the countries. US plus those five countries. When you create supplier address, customer address, you need data. So that is the reason you have to enable it. Okay, that is the reason you have to enable for those countries. Not only for the country you are doing the implementation, you need to create the locations or say addresses for which countries, for all the countries, make sure this is enabled. So this is the point we have to understand when you talk about geographies. Okay, in tomorrow's session, we'll see like how to create the legal address. Just we discussed about the geography part. No need to do anything, just we have to understand. If it is a fresh instance, we'll have an opportunity to go and submit load geographies. If nobody will do before you, you can do it. Anyone can go and do it. Maybe HCM consultant may do it, or a CM consultant may do it, or finance consultant, because everywhere we need address information. So you may get chance to do in the fresh instances when you are working in the projects. So in tomorrow's session, we'll talk about how to create the legal address, and we'll create the legal entity, and there are a few other points which are aligned with the balance and segment values, legal entity, primary ledger. We'll discuss more detail level. The same we'll do in the system also. Okay. So that's how it is. We're done for today. If you have any questions, please stay back.